Okay, folks, welcome to Gen X Medic. It's been a while since I've done this, and for that I'm sorry. Had a lot of life changes, good ones for the most part. I got a promotion, had to adapt to that, and schedule change, all those things that come with it. Had to adapt to being a night shifter. It had been a long time. To be honest, we all know that if you're on a day shift going to nights, it can be really rough at times. So let's talk about some things. First of all, I'm back. Should be putting out a little content really frequently here soon. Have a lot I'm planning on coming out this week. Just got back from the Eagles conference. Learned a lot. Validated a lot of things I thought, and realized that a lot of things I didn't ever think about. But I think that's the point, isn't it? When we go to these conferences, especially the big evidence-based ones where they're actually looking at what works and what doesn't, not just, hey, look at this cool thing, or hey, go out and look at the cool things they're selling out there. Where they're actually talking about this works, this doesn't. So we're going to talk about, right now, just going to the conference, nothing specific. I'm going to cover a lot of that in the other videos. Ran into some old friends, people that when I started my current job that were there, people that helped me out. My boss was there, my medical director was there. My clinical boss was there. Here's the reality. No matter what we do, we all have to be aware that we all need to be held accountable. Myself included. We also need to understand that the world's changing every day. Medicine's changing. It used to be a lot of places were almost saturated with paramedics. We had too many. Now we barely have enough some places. And we're learning to ask questions. Do we need paramedics on every call? How do we do that better? We also need to realize sometimes it's okay to just have fun. Have dinner with friends. Have drinks with old friends. Tell stories. Those war stories that probably aren't appropriate to tell in class, especially when your whole purpose is to just look how awesome I am. They're really appropriate when sitting around having drinks, telling stories. Stuff you did right, stuff you did wrong, stuff somehow you got away with and didn't get in trouble. I mean, if you're an EMS and you don't have any of those stories, you've probably not been in EMS that long. Let's be honest. We live in a time where things are changing fast. We're dealing with things happening that probably have everybody stressed out, no matter who you are. Doesn't matter what side of the equation that you're on. Some of those things just really suck. Take time. My wife and I went down a day early, just so we could shoot down to Key West. My boss said, you won't pull that off. You won't make it back in time for dinner. I will tell you, we pulled it off. Rather proud of that. Bought some decent rum, had a couple drinks, great food. Saw some places I've wanted to see since I was a teenager. Just never made time, never did these things. Sometimes you gotta make the time, folks. I see people on TikTok. There's some really good TikTok and Reels EMS creators, and they're really addressing some of the issues that are important. Mental health, silly things we see, things that shouldn't go in some places. Let's be honest, that gets funny, and we've all thought it at one point or another. But we really need to start getting out there the information that needs to get out. You know, people that are doing things right, people that are doing things wrong. We need to figure out where our profession's going, how to build it, and you got some of the most creative problem solvers in the world in EMS. We need to figure out how to build that up and make it a little bit better. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a guy sitting in front of a camera, right? I'm now a supervisor. I'm basically a desk medic anymore, right? I had a really bad call right before I left. One of my new medics called me about a protocol question on the way out, just so the way he was clear, which, hey, that's my job. And unfortunately, no one going to this call was given what we were actually going into, which made it more difficult. And he was like, hey, can you go? Well, I happened to beat him there just because of where I was at versus where he was at. And it was not pretty. I also wasn't dumping that on him. I always hate it when someone does that. They'll go in, do things, start making decisions, and dump it on you. Nah. But I'll say that my crew did well. First responders did amazing. Police department on scene, on it. I mean, everybody did a great job. But I didn't know. So we all get, every place you work, you get evaluations from the people above you. And those evaluations are important. You know, they tell you what your bosses think of how you're doing. I realized I must be doing something right, because the people below me were checking on me, making sure I was okay. See, it's my job to check on my people. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that when you lead, you lead. When you're in a position of authority, you are responsible to those below you. You know, you should only be given authority if you're willing to sacrifice and look out for those who you're there for. I've had bad bosses in my career. I've had people who didn't look out for me. They were only there about themselves. Man, made the job a lot more difficult. That puts people in a bad place. But I realized I've got a good group of folks working for me. And when I had several of them check on me throughout the week, knowing that I'm out of town, but still knowing that I had a rough weekend. You know what? It's just another thing that tells me how fortunate I am. And to every one of my people who's checked on me, I appreciate it. And you know, and this video tells you, I'm telling the world you mattered to me and made my days a little bit better. So I want to talk about Eagles a little bit. Not details, more impressions. I've seen people go and say it's about the egos. And to be fair, yeah, I can see it. But I'll also tell you, it was a great place. That's all. Amazing things shared, ideas, knowledge. Not just what to do, how we're doing it, how we're implementing it. The idea is replicate and duplicate is their attitude. if it's working, let's get it out there, because in the end, the mission matters. I think the first video I'm probably going to get out after this will probably be on whole blood, which if you're not wanting to push blood into your protocols and your response, you're missing it. I'll be right there with you. But every place is going to have its difficulties, how you're going to do it, what's going to work. And I'm not here to validate one particular product. And you got to figure out what works for you and how you're going to do it. But yeah. In the end, we're the ones that do this. We're the ones that see the outcomes. We're the ones that are seeing the people sick, the injured, or just the needy. Because sometimes, folks, we're not just there to deal with the ugly, the scary, the traumatic, the critical. Sometimes we're the people who realize that, hey, maybe we should be the ones trying to make sure that the little old lady who we picked up out of the floor 4 times in the last 3 months, try to have a conversation with her about getting those rugs that she keeps tripping up off the floor. Or, realizing that there's more going on and maybe we need to activate for it. Maybe we need to get more resources. We need to figure out how to do that. We also need to remember where we come from. We need to take that time off, take a step back. If you drink, have a good one. Don't go drinking cheap crap that you don't enjoy. Have that drink with someone who you care about, someone who's affected your life. Tell war stories, tell about the crazy stuff that happened. Commiserate over stuff that happened together. Get to know your other local agencies. Don't forget the friends who've left to work somewhere else. But in the end, it's Gen X Medic. Let's take care of each other and have a good time and learn a few things.